All right, we are rolling. It's good to be back, bro. I was itching all week to get back to it because we had a lot to talk about. A lot happened, obviously, last week in the NFL, and you know, I gotta own up to some of my game picks, which we'll get to at at a certain point here. But it's good to
Right.
be back. This is technically episode 3. Unfortunately, we lost episode 1, which is okay because we
Not mad at it.
not mad at it. We were definitely working through some kinks, and it's just gonna get better as we go forward. So, but we'll jump right into it. Going over our last week picks, I made some mistakes. I got a little I got a little overzealous about some of my picks. I think you were perfect. I don't think you missed a single one, did
I,
you?
I, I didn't. I definitely got some wrong. But like I
Okay.
should have known that because I picked the overdog for every single game, which is like I truly felt like the overdog was going to win. However,
Right.
when was the last time the overdog won every single game
Every
throughout a
single
whole
one.
entire week? I couldn't tell
Right.
you the last time it happened. So I should have known better. I should at least pick like one upset. I know which upset I should have picked, but we'll go through it.
Right.
So the first game, what was it? Detroit, Chicago, or
Giants Falcons technically.
Giants, Falcons?
I think we
Yeah,
both picked the Falcons.
we did. We did. And
Cuz
that was an easy one because we were talking about Michael Penix,
Michael Penix, yeah.
seeing his first game. I mean, he showed out, but again, it's the Giants. But it's a good start. You can't discredit him for doing what he was supposed to do. He did his job. He blew them out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's he didn't choose who he played. He got the Giants and he took care of business. His numbers weren't amazing. He did have that one turnover. You can't really put that on him. That was one where Kyle Pitts kind of caught it, turned, and
And like,
threw the ball up in the air, and it
yeah,
got picked.
yeah.
I don't believe he threw any touchdowns, though.
I don't know the answer to that. Let me look.
I got it pulled up here, too. Or I'm pulling it up. I believe
No,
he was
no,
200 something.
no 202, no touchdowns, one pick, 18 of
202, no
27.
touchdowns. That's not terrible. He managed the game. Bijan was great. 22 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was great.
Yeah,
They didn't really need a whole bunch, and they had 2 defensive touchdowns. So they really didn't need much from him. He
yeah.
handled his business,
He
and it
did
was
his
a solid
job.
first start for him.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. And shout out to the coaching staff for putting him in that situation. I think that was smart. Boost
I
his
mean,
confidence.
the timing for it, in terms of when to start him, I think was perfect.
Yeah,
I didn't agree with it at the time. You did. I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference in terms of them actually making the playoffs, but they're off to a good start. They're currently winning their division because of a game we'll talk about here in a second. Tampa losing. So at the end of the day, they're in position to win out and make the playoffs. So
yeah,
we'll see how that decision turns out.
yeah.
Next game was Lions and Bears.
We really
Pretty
don't even need
easy.
to talk about that game. I mean,
No,
I think the main topic of conversation for that game is how poor Caleb Williams has looked.
I mean it's tough. Yeah, when you get drafted number 1 overall, you know you're going to a terrible team.
Yeah,
And his head coach got fired, his offensive coordinator got fired. So in your rookie year, when you're on a bad team, they got good weapons offensively. Offensive line's kind of suspect, and new head coach, new OC. That's definitely a challenge for a rookie quarterback. I think he'll be okay, but they gotta get the coaching. They gotta get the coaching decision right next year. They got to.
yeah, yeah. Coaching and offensive line. He's running for his life. He's taking a lot of hits, and
Yep.
I think that that can be traumatizing for a rookie quarterback and coming in playing in the NFL with some full grown men and taking hits like this. Man, I wasn't taking hits like this when I was in college.
Right. And he was the most athletic on the field every time he played a college game. Now
Yep.
he's just as fast. The linebackers and a lot of D linemen are just as fast as him. So a lot
Right.
of the times he was able to escape, make plays out of the pocket, and improvise. He can't do that anymore. He's getting run down.
Right.
So that's always a initial shock for rookies coming in, just the game speed of the NFL.
Yep.
Next game, Bengals Browns. That was same thing. Without Jameis Winston, there's no threat of the offense doing anything.
Yeah.
Cleveland had a couple chances to score. They had one touchdown run called back from a penalty. They had a couple turnovers, but that one wasn't really, too much of a question. And I think we both had Cincy winning pretty easy.
No, we did, but shout out Joe Burrow. I remember at the beginning of the year when I drafted Joe Burrow in our fantasy league, you were surprised and you told me like, "Oh, I'm surprised that you picked Joe Burrow," because at the time Jamar Chase was still holding out. It wasn't sure,
Yep.
what they were going to do with his contract. Ultimately, didn't give it to
Yep.
him, but he has been phenomenal. He has been top three quarterback in the league. If he had a better team, he would be in the MVP discussions. But he's having one of the best years he's had of his career.
I had that exact same thought when I was looking at this week's games. He's playing today, a little bit later. Bro, he's thrown 4,200 yards, 39 touchdowns, 8 picks. That is nasty with 2 games to go.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
could easily finish close to 5,000, 45 touchdowns under 10, or yeah, 45 to, I mean, who knows, probably 45 plus touchdowns under 10 picks.
Yeah.
That is a sensational season.
No, that is impressive. I think a lot of it is game script as well. I mean, when you have a poor defense and you're either playing from behind or you're fearful of falling behind, you're trying to
Yeah,
make the most out of every possession. And you're airing it out a little bit more than you normally would if, say, you had a 2 touchdown lead. Maybe you're checking a lot of those down or throwing
for
them out of
sure.
bounds. Instead, he's taking those chances and giving his guys a shot. And to their credit, they've been coming down with the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. They've been playing great. So, shout out to those
Espe-
guys. The receivers have been holding up their end of the deal, but as far as defense and offensive line, can't say the same.
Right. But when you look at who to draft from a fantasy perspective, that's exactly what you want. You want to have a player on a high powered offense with a bad defense. If you have a player that has a high powered offense but a great defense, they get up 21 points, 28 points, the whole game plan changes. But if your
Right.
defense is terrible and now it's a shootout like they've had countless times this year, that's exactly what you want because you got your guys playing the whole game and they're playing in games where they're scoring 30 plus points, 40 plus points. That's when you can really capitalize fantasy wise. So shout out to you for making that call on Joe Burrow. I did not think it was going to turn out like this. And then even Jamar Chase too, holding out of camp and still having this the season that he's having is
Yeah,
extremely impressive.
for sure. We'll talk about him a little bit later too.
Yes, we will.
All right, Tennessee,
Next
Indy.
game, Tennessee Indy. This is the game where I picked.
You picked
I picked
Tennessee,
Tennessee. I don't know
which you,
why.
you were close. I mean, it was. I
I
thought
was
it was going
close,
to
but it was
be.
garbage time.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was going to be a much larger deficit than it ended up
Right.
being. It was one possession game.
Right.
But yeah,
At one
man,
point,
Tennessee.
it was 31-7. I think at one point. So it was a wide margin, but then Tennessee scored 15 in the fourth. And I think they ended the third with a touchdown and a 2 point conversion. So I think they scored 23 unanswered points to kind of make it close, but it was all kind of in garbage time.
Yeah, the key to success. Anthony Richardson only throwing the ball 11 times.
That's crazy.
Seven of
In today's
11.
game, that is insane. 7 of 11 for 123, one touchdown, one pick. You only throw the ball 11 times, and one of those was a pick.
When it was a pick is crazy. But to
That's
his
insane.
defense, I mean, the percentages are good. He's 70 something percent. He's efficient. But when you have the hot hand of Jonathan Taylor carrying it 29 times for 218 yards
218
and
and
three
three touchdowns.
touchdowns, bro, I'm handing the ball off to him every time as well. I don't blame
I
him.
am too. And he had 2 long touchdowns as well. He had a 65-yarder and a 70
And
yarder.
the
So
70. Yep.
that definitely, if you have that going, only throwing 11 times, I think for most quarterbacks is probably a pretty good recipe.
Yep. For sure.
And we'll talk about the Colts a little bit more in terms of like playoff implications and stuff, and who's going to be starting at quarterback because there's some questions there this week. But we'll
Yep.
get to there. We'll get to that in a little bit. Rams Jets. The Jets are one of the worst teams in the league, so that was pretty simple to pick there, especially with Rams still very much in the playoff race. They're currently winning their division, so that one was pretty simple. A little bit closer than I thought it would be,
Yeah.
but
2 possession game.
19-9, I'm gonna
So,
take it.
so you're the Jets, right? You're 4-11. What are you doing? Are you going and drafting a quarterback? Or are you holding on to Rodgers for next year?
I am looking for another quarterback, whether it's drafting a quarterback, whether it's bringing in Kirk Cousins, whether it's doing something. Even what would be so crazy is if they went and brought Sam Darnold back because he had a great year this year. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's only on a 1 year deal with Minnesota,
You don't
and they
think
need a new quarterback.
Minnesota? You don't think will re-sign Darnold?
It's tough to say because they at the beginning of the season they were planning on JJ McCarthy starting from week 1. If he didn't get
Right.
hurt, he would have been the starter. We would have never seen this version of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, for sure. But I think if you're Minnesota, you see, or the rookie quarterback that I just drafted who got hurt before the season even started. I need to have a reliable backup in case something, especially because we know how people are coming off of injuries. It usually takes them a little bit to get back into the rhythm of things. So maybe you start off next year with Sam Darnold again, and then
Mm.
kind of ease JJ into it.
So, what kind of contract are you going to give Sam Darnold if you're Minnesota?
I'm not giving him like a 4 year deal, but
3 year?
yeah, yeah.
So then the plan would pretty much be the next 2 years you're starting Sam Darnold, unless something changes, whether he gets hurt or he kind of regresses back to what we've seen from him.
Yeah, because I think if JJ McCarthy was your quarterback, I don't think they would be where they are right now.
No way.
So yeah, I'm planning on keeping Darnold for at least for the next 2 years as my starter.
Fair point. I like it. But yeah, if I'm the Jets, I'm going in another direction at quarterback. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is the answer. You can't bring a guy in who is supposed to be the quote unquote savior of your franchise, and then you have a worse record than you did last year with Zach Wilson and that carousel. That's ridiculous. So
Yeah,
I'm going in a different direction at quarterback from the Jets.
yeah. So I feel the same way. I mean, I think he has what, one more year left on that deal with the
He
Jets.
might. I think so. I think so.
I'm letting that go. I'm gonna release him after this year and just let him go. I don't think his performance to me doesn't reflect everything else that comes along with him as far as like the interviews that he's doing, and then he's getting a lot of negative talk about him outside of the football field, which is like I
Agreed.
feel like if you're the Jets organization, so you're starting fresh, new head coach, all this kind of stuff. You don't need that. I think you need to start new with a new young quarterback and reestablish the culture there. Because right now the culture isn't what it needs to be. On top of that, Aaron has no excuse. He's brought in all his people. He got Alan Lazard. He got Devontae Adams. He has Garrett Wilson, who I don't say that's his guy, but he's a solid number two receiver. I mean,
He's a one on
he's
a lot of
probably a
teams.
one, but for whatever reason, they've got Devontae getting all the targets over him, and they're really not using Garrett Wilson at all. He's frustrated with it. They've got a good young running back in Brees Hall. They have the other one, Braylon Allen. He's good as well. I just don't. The defense is mediocre, then definitely not what they were the year before.
They regressed a
But
little bit. Yeah.
but I just think that with everything that you have around the quarterback position, I just think your record can't be 4-11.
I agree 100%. They're too loaded offensively, and they've made too many moves to accommodate Aaron to be 4-11. There's just really no excuse for it, and it's not like they're playing in a division where it's world. They're not playing in the NFC North. The Dolphins and the Pats have not been good, so there's really no excuse. Yes, the Bills are solid, but it's not like their schedule's been to that where they should be 4-11. They've lost to a lot of teams that they
They,
should have beaten
they,
for
they,
sure.
they should have 4 wins from their division alone.
Right.
Never mind their whole season. So
Agreed.
yeah,
Yep.
nah,
100% agree.
it's time to move on.
Yep. All right, Eagles Commanders. This was probably game of the week last week,
Yep.
and a surprise in the outcome.
Yeah, we both got this one wrong.
But Jalen Hurts was knocked out of the game their second drive, second or third drive. So it was early in the game. He was knocked out with a concussion. That was kind of a weird play because it didn't really seem like he was wobbled too much. He came out of the game. They looked at him, and then he had his helmet on. He was ready to go back in the game. And then they said, "Nah, let's go in the locker room and evaluate you further." He didn't come back.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels was awesome. He 258 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns, which is awesome. And he was great on the ground. 9 carries for 81 yards.
Two
They didn't really
picks.
get much. They didn't really get much out of that. He did have the 2 turnovers. I think they as a team had 5 total turnovers altogether. So that's the second time this year that we've seen a team
Yeah.
have 5+ turnovers and win. The other one was Detroit. It's just with Detroit, it was Jared Goff throwing 5 picks, which is wild, but
Right.
still winning that game. So that was a really good performance by Jaden Daniels. I do think it was skewed a little bit because it was Kenny Pickett that he was going up against. I think if Jalen Hurts plays, I think the Eagles blow him out, which to me still, goes to show that that Philly is still the best team in the league. They need Jalen back, obviously, but you know, going down to the wire with a solid playoff team with your quarterback getting knocked out in the first quarter still goes to show that the football team overall is solid.
Yeah, for sure. So I see that you kind of just grazed over your boy Brian Robinson Jr., 2 lost fumbles.
How is he my boy?
You don't like him?
Not really. I think he's a good. I think he's a good running back. I think he's top 10, top 15. Probably not. He's a good running back though. He had a really bad game, terrible game.
Yeah,
He
two
only
two lost
had
fumbles is
that's
that can't
rough.
happen. You're not playing the rest of
That's
the game
rough.
if you lose 2 fumbles.
Right. Yeah, that's rough. He did not play well. He did not play well.
But Kenny Pickett, not bad for being thrown into the fire against a division matchup again. They're really the only team that's contending their division for a playoff berth.
Right.
And he kind of just got thrown in, no notice, obviously. 14 of 24, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But
Yep.
yeah, no, obviously he's not Jalen. I think they were up big before Jalen went out. I want to say it was
It
like
was
21,
14-6, and then right when Pickett came in, Saquon broke off a big run. So it was 21-7,
21.
21-6, something like
Yeah,
that.
I thought it
Something
was
like that, yeah.
21-7. Yeah, 21-7 at the end of the first
Yep.
quarter.
Yep.
And Washington came storming back. So all Pickett did was, yeah, he had that one rushing touchdown with Saquon, but then after that, field goals, bunch of field
He
goals.
did throw one touchdown to AJ Brown, that little slant, but they missed the extra point. So he did throw that one touchdown to AJ Brown. Outside
Oh,
of that, it was just field goals.
okay, I did not see
Because
that
AJ was
touchdown. How
AJ
far
was
out
eight
was
for
that?
97 one touchdown. It was goal. It was goal. It was goal line. It was like at the 5, at the 4, something like that. It was a quick little slant, and AJ scored.
Okay,
But
but
it is what it is.
Jake Elliott kicked 4 field goals.
Yep. And I think he missed the extra point too, but that wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game at all. But we talked about it one of the other episodes when a backup quarterback comes into the game.
Yeah,
A lot of times he can have a much better game that week than he is gonna the next week when the team can prep for him
like
because they were
this week.
preparing for Jalen Hurts. This week I think he's gonna struggle. Yes, he's playing Dallas, but Dallas is prepared for him. When a backup comes in and you're not prepared for him, that's a very different style of quarterback than Jalen Hurts. A lot of times those backup quarterbacks can have really good games when they come in and they haven't been prepared for. So that's kind of what the situation was with Kenny Pickett. But, I wish we could have seen that game with Jalen
Yeah,
from a real life perspective, from a fantasy football perspective. Obviously, I'm grateful that he went out because if he had played the whole game, I am not in the finals right now. So I'm gonna take that all day.
yeah.
Taking that all day.
Shout out Will Too Cool. He knocked me out of the playoffs, but then Spence had my back and came back the next week and knocked him out.
Yeah, I mean he took you out 2 weeks in a row, so I definitely had to get back from my boy.
Well, you don't gotta go there.
Sorry, my bad, my bad.
But no, that was a good game. Big win for Washington. They needed that. So we'll see what happens going forward with them. But they really needed that win.
Right. I mean, I think they had a good chance of making the playoffs regardless, but this puts them in a better situation to potentially, have a better road or potentially even get a home playoff game if they can win the first one. Maybe the second round they can have a better record and get a home playoff game. We'll see.
Yeah, but remember, I think last episode we were talking about them losing 3 of their last 5. So they just needed to get back on the right track going into the playoffs.
Yep. Yep, for sure. All right, next game, Panthers Cardinals. Man, this one
We both got this one wrong.
this one was a head scratcher. This one was a head scratcher. I know Carolina's been playing better. But if you're Arizona and you need that win to stay in the playoff hunt, and if you lose, you're eliminated. You can't lose to the 4-11 3-11 at the time. You can't lose that game if you're trying to get in the playoffs if you're Arizona. You can't.
I have a pretty good theory for how this came to fruition.
Let's hear it.
I noticed that there was a holiday sale on new Call of Duty camos. And I think that Kyler might have indulged a little bit too much into these deals and got hooked up playing the game, wasn't studying the playbook, wasn't preparing properly, and laid an egg.
You think Kyler Murray, who has signed an over $200 million contract, is looking at these Call of Duty sales for bundles and skins?
Not looking them up. They pop up on the screen like, hey, today only you can get this for X, Y, or Z. And I think he just was like, you know what, why not? I'm just another reason for me to stay on and play all night. Because, I mean, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick on against the Carolina Panthers. Come on,
Yeah.
come on,
Sacked 3 times.
come on.
Not a
And
great game,
James
but
Conner was cooking. So like
James Conner was
you
cooking.
had the running game going.
He did get nicked though, and he was out at the I think end of the third quarter. Didn't come back in the game,
Okay, he had
so he did
150
get
yards
nicked.
before that happened.
Yeah, he did.
He had
100,
he had he had
117.
he had well,
117 on the
one
ground,
and then
50
49
in
through
the
the
air.
air.
Yep,
So
yep. He was cooking.
he's your leading receiver. James Conner is doing everything for that team.
You know what's crazy? Marvin Harrison and Kyler never figured it out this year. They had one good game earlier in the year. I think they played the Rams.
Yeah.
Outside of that, for whatever reason, they have not been on the same page. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people expected Marvin to be a lot more dynamic this year. And for whatever reason, that connection didn't work. Chuba Hubbard was great for the Panthers.
Yeah.
25 carries, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaged 6.1 a clip. That's
Yeah.
nasty.
I don't know what happened. He just went out on IR today, so he must have
Yeah.
gotten hurt.
He was battling something all week. I don't know exactly what it is, but at the end of the day, like they're not going anywhere. They just signed him to an extension, so he's their back of the future, and they probably just wanted to get a head start on. I don't know if he's getting surgery or whatever that recovery looks like, but there's no need for them to be pushing guys through injury at this point if
For sure.
they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game was a head scratcher. Definitely disappointing if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, because they are eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, and now Kyler's not getting his incentives. That's why he's on the looking at the deals. He lost out on his incentives this year.
All right. All right. Next game, Vikings Seahawks. Vikings pulled that one off barely, 27-24. Geno
Yeah.
Smith was pretty good, 31 of 43, 314, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, we both picked Minnesota in this one.
We both picked Minnesota. Justin Jefferson was great, 10 for 144, 2 touchdowns. Jets was killing.
Yep.
All right, Pats Bills. This one was closer than expected. I think Pats got off to a 14-0 start. I think they started off 14-0.
Yeah.
And then the Bills started chipping away and kind of coming back. Those division games, though, they're always going to be tough. Even if it's a good team versus a bad team, you're just so familiar with one another. And those typically tend to be more grind out games, even if you would think a team is going to blow them out. You don't really see that too often in the division. So I'm not too surprised of the ending score, but the Bills, they made it happen. James Cook was good.
Yeah,
11 carries, 100 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, they're just the better team. Drake May was good, 22 of 36 for 261, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yep. He was good.
I'll take that. And no running game either. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, he's been in a crazy slump.
Yes, he
But
has.
he has not been able to run the ball efficiently.
Right.
And, in spite of that, Drake May is still able to produce some solid numbers. So shout out to him. I
Yep.
think he's going to be great. And you just need to get him some weapons.
I think so, too. And I hit you after I watched him play his first preseason game this year.
Yep.
And I saw some things from him where I'm like, this kid can play. And I think they made a great pick at quarterback. And I do think he's going to have a great career. Like you said, they just got to get him some weapons. They got some good pieces on defense, but they got to kind of put it all together, upgrade the receiving core, and keep chipping away year after year. But I think he's going to have a good career for sure.
Yeah, I'm gutting that running back room too. Gibson is not it. And obviously Ramondre is just inconsistent. And there was a portion earlier this year he had a fumbling issue too, and that's just something you just can't put up with.
You talking about Ramondre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the Patriots. If you just go back to like their culture, their history, they've never been a team that tolerates someone that has fumbling issues. So if someone
new
has
culture now.
displayed that, well, if they're a new culture, prove it and go out and get some and spend some money on some receivers.
That's a good point. That is a good point. All right, next game, Jags Raiders. I picked the Jags. You picked the Raiders. You can have that one. You can have that one. That was all good.
What happened to your boy, Mac Jones? You said Mac Jones was gonna.
He struggled. My guy Brian Thomas went off though.
That is your guy.
Mac Jones, 25 of 39, 247, 1 touchdown, no picks. That's not a terrible game.
It's not terrible, but it's also the Raiders.
It's also the Raiders. What about your boy AOC? 24 of 38, 257, no touchdowns, no picks.
And the dub.
Kind of just out there.
The dub.
Yeah, the dub, just out there. But yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. He is solid. He is a great rookie receiver. I think he's breaking records. I think he broke the record for the best receiving season as a rookie for the Jags organization, and he's over 1,000 yards for the year as a rookie, which
Yeah.
is solid. He's a
What
good
was the
receiver.
record? Something about he was like the youngest receiver to have over 1,000 yards for the Jags.
Let me see.
Because I seen it. Him and Brock Bowers both broke 1,000 yards in that game
Right.
as rookies.
So he holds the single season receptions record, 73,
What?
and rookie receiving for the
Oh,
Jags,
okay,
not in NFL, but for the Jags franchise,
okay.
and receiving yards 1,088, and receiving touchdowns he got 9. So he's been, I mean, 73 catches, 1,088 yards, and 9 touchdowns as a rookie, and I think he missed a couple games too with injury. So that's a good young receiver. They just got to figure out what's going on with that team. I don't know if it's a Trevor Lawrence problem. I don't know if it's a coaching problem, but they underperformed this year for sure. They're paying their quarterback too much money, Trevor Lawrence, to have a record like that. So they got to figure something out in Jacksonville. I think Doug Peterson's gone after this year for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And then if you're Vegas, you just won a game, and now you no longer have the number one pick in the draft. The Giants have it.
The Giants do.
So
I
what are
would
you
much
doing?
rather see. I would much rather see Shador go to Vegas
Yes,
than go to the Giants.
yes. And if you're Vegas, what do you have to play for?
But you got to think about it though, because if the organization is trying to get a better draft pick, but the coach keeps losing these games to get them the draft pick, the coach is going to get fired just so the team can get a draft pick. So if I'm a coach, why am I going to try to lose games to help you get a better spot when I'm not going to be here?
I think if you're
Because
the
there's a good chance that
coach, go ahead.
there's a good chance they might fire Buddy over there, the head coach.
So I think that if you're the coach, you have to be on the same page as the ownership. Like, what are we doing? What do we want? And if the ownership wants you to win games and not get the first pick in the draft, then that's what you do. But if you're Mark Davis, you already told Shador you want him there in Vegas. So I think that's what you need to do. What do you have to lose? You guys haven't been good since Derek Carr.
Pre-injury, that was like 2017, 2016 Derek Carr over there.
Right.
And then once he got hurt, he kind of fell off a cliff. But how do you sell that to your team?
I
Because
don't
at the
think
end of the day, these are still professionals that are trying to put good film, put good tape on there, so that way they can either be brought back by the Raiders or other teams for next year. If they're just really trying to tank, that's going to kind of influence who gets picked up on the same team or a different team for next year. So I don't know how you sell it to a player and say, "Hey, we're going to try to lose this game. Don't make that catch. Don't make that play. Don't whatever. Don't play hard." I don't know how you can sell that to the team.
Yeah, I don't know if you can even loop the team in on it. I think it's got to be just amongst the coaching staff in terms of personnel, play calling, decision making in late games, like when you use your timeouts, like that kind of like the little stuff that like is not very glaring. It might not even guarantee you win or lose the game, but it'll affect the odds for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
So if it's a third and long, check it down, and that's the play call.
Run a screen, do stuff
Yeah,
that like might work, but chances are it's
no,
not.
probably
It's,
not.
it's probably not going to work. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point.
All
But
right.
yeah, we'll see what happens there the last 2 weeks to see who gets that number one pick. But moving on, Dolphins versus 49ers. I picked the Niners, you picked the Dolphins.
Sure did.
Yeah. The Niners too, they needed a win. No. They were eliminated before the game even started
Before
because
that game.
once the Commanders got to 10 wins, the Niners couldn't have gotten to 10 wins. So
Yep.
once the Commanders won, they were eliminated.
Yep.
I'm sure that has something to do with your psyche, and it can go one of two ways. because when we talk about the next game, the Cowboys, that was the exact same situation for them, and they chose to
They
take a
did the
different
opposite.
route. They actually played pretty well, but the Niners,
Yeah.
not so much. Dolphins got it done. Dolphins playoffs hope is still alive, slim, but they still got a chance for taking care of business there. So
Yeah,
shout out to them.
a couple of good individual performances in this game.
Yep.
Um, your boy, this is your boy, Debo Samuel, best game of the season.
Now he chooses to to play the way that we expect him to play all year. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
best game of
That's
the season
crazy.
by far. 7 for 96 with a touchdown and 5 carries
Five
for 25
carries for
yards.
25. Yeah, that was his best game by far. So Kittle continues to do what Kittle does. 8 for 106. Purdy was solid. 26 of 40, 313, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
I'd like to
Solid.
see the percentage a little bit
A
better,
little bit better.
but the 313 with 2 touchdowns, very respectable.
Yep.
And then
Tyreek had a down game, 3 for 29, 1 touchdown. He had some pretty uncharacteristic drops
yeah,
this week. Uncharacteristic.
Devon Achane,
Achan was
100,
awesome.
190 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, 17 for 120 on the ground with a touchdown, 6 for 70 through the air. He was awesome.
Yep,
He's a great player. When
that's
he's healthy,
nasty.
he's a great player.
Yep.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's making the other guys, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, look like old men.
Yep. Well, he's just so well rounded. He's great on the ground. He's great in the air. So explosive, so quick, and he's hard to tackle. So that's a great running back. He's been awesome when Tua's played this year. He's been excellent.
Yeah, I mean, Mostert wasn't bad. I mean, he had 8 carries for 31 yards. That's 3.9 a clip. And he had 2 catches for 15 yards. That's solid. I mean, if he had the volume, he probably could have done, had a pretty good game. But he's not having
Yeah.
190 yards on all purpose.
Right. It's not in this game no more.
Yep.
All right, Bucks Cowboys. This was a bad loss for Tampa. Cowboys won 26-24.
Yep.
The Bucks were just playing. They were playing. I mean, not the Bucks. The Cowboys were playing possessed.
Yep. Their
You haven't seen that
defense.
type of effort from them really all season. So it's like, why now when you're eliminated from the playoffs, you play like this? And a lot of the efforts that they put forward so far throughout the season, leading to their 7-7 or their 6-8 record at the time, was just very lackluster. So it's interesting how some teams will go in one direction once they're eliminated. Some teams will go in another. But the Cowboys played well. They played hard, and the defense was
Their defense was
great.
great. I mean,
Yep.
Cooper Rush, 26 of 35 for 292, 1 touchdown, no picks. So, he didn't turn the ball over. That game managed, but he did all that
Threw for
with,
almost 300 yards is pretty good.
say what?
Throwing for 300 yards is pretty good for Cooper Rush.
Yeah,
292. It's pretty
it,
good.
it, it is good in spite of not having a running game. Rico Dowell, 13 carries for 23 yards. Like, what are we supposed to do with that? So
Not
them
gonna cut it.
knowing that he's going to throw it and he's still doing that, I think is impressive. I mean, CD had, he's a CD type day. He just needed a touchdown,
Yep.
7 for 105. But yeah, their defense kept Baker and those guys in check. I mean, Baker threw for 303, but Mike Evans was his
Right.
leading receiver that had 69 yards.
Yep. Yeah, Jalen McMillan's been pretty good over the past 3 weeks. He had 557 and a touchdown. He's been pretty solid. He's kind of stepping into that Chris Godwin role.
He scored a touchdown in like every game the last like 4 weeks in a row, or so. I've seen something
Yeah,
like that.
the last three he scored a touchdown in every game. One of those games he had 2 touchdowns. So he scored 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He's been solid.
That's impressive.
We'll talk about him a little bit later. I got a question for you about him a little bit later, but we'll get there.
Okay.
All right, and then last game, Saints and Packers. Man, the Saints, dude. Man, Spencer Rattler, dude, that is not gonna cut it. That is not great. 15 of 30, 153, no touchdowns, 1 pick. That QBR of 19. That is not gonna get it done.
Oof.
Josh Jacobs was good. They played him the first half, then pretty much the first series of the third quarter,
Yeah.
and then they took him out,
He was
and
done.
he was done. Emmanuel Wilson was good, 11 for 52 and a touchdown. Chris Brooks was okay, 6 for 23 and a touchdown, but they didn't really need to do a whole ton. Christian Watson got dinged. His knee he had a bone bruise, so he's questionable for this week. Jaden Reed,
Came
Won me the
through.
game.
Came
Won me the
through.
game. I needed 3.7 fantasy points from him,
Yeah.
and he had 2 fantasy points through 3.5 quarters. So I was panicking
Yeah.
and definitely,
I,
going
I
through it.
was
But
I was sweating for you, and
yeah,
I think you were. I was texting you in the middle of the game, and I was like, you just got to stay positive. Like it's gonna happen. And then once we get to the fourth quarter, I'm like, I
man,
don't believe it anymore.
I'm
I was like,
cooked.
damn. I was like, Will is gonna win by 1.5 points just
Right,
because Jaden Reed has been non-existent from the passing
right. And
until
they
that
were up
point.
24 nothing, and
24
then
zip.
31 nothing. So I'm like, at what point are they going to pull their starters?
Yeah.
Luckily, he got that catch to put me in the lead from Jordan Love, and then he had one more catch from Malik Willis after.
Yeah.
But that was a stressful game and put me through the ringer for sure because there's no reason I should have lost that. And if I did, that would have been tough to swallow. But
Yeah.
he came through
Tough way to lose the season.
for
Spencer
sure.
Rattler. He's a rookie, right?
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie, so I think in college, I heard his name when in college. He was
Well, he
good.
played he played for Oklahoma and he was doing pretty well. And then I think he went through a rough patch and got benched for I believe Caleb Williams before Caleb Williams transferred to UFC. I believe that's what happened.
Okay,
And then Spencer Rattler went to a different school and his trajectory kind of went down. He had a great start at Oklahoma and then I think he kind of fell off and then didn't pick it back up quite as well. I believe that's the story with him.
okay, yeah. I'm looking. It says he was the fifth pick, fifth round
Fifth
pick,
quarterback taken?
fifth
Okay,
round
okay.
pick.
Oh, okay, fifth pick and fifth round
Yeah,
is
for the
is okay.
Saints.
Fifth round for the Saints. Okay.
So that's low. But I mean, you heard the whole story that he was telling about. The quarterback's coach or the offensive coordinator brought him into a
A
refrigerator
freezer.
to prepare for that game, to go
Yeah.
over the playbook. I like the idea from the
Yeah.
coach. Like that's very.
Right.
It's like thinking outside the box because it's kind of hard to remain focused and remember everything that you went over in practice when you're sitting there
You're cold.
in 20-degree weather.
Right. And you can't replicate that cold in New Orleans because it ain't that cold in New Orleans.
Right.
So it was
Right.
creative.
But they did all that for nothing. All that to go out there and throw for, what'd
Not
you
score
say he
a
threw
single
for?
point.
100,
153.
153 yards, 15 of 30. That's
And not score a single
embarrassing,
point.
man.
And be the
Yeah.
first team this season to be shut out. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at their receiving core as well. I mean, who's he really got to throw it to right now?
I mean, they're totally nicked. Olave's been out with a concussion. Valdez Scantling is out. Alvin Kamara is out. So Taysom Hill is out. So they're really on second, third, fourth strings in every position.
What's
So they're kind of depleted for sure.
what about that rookie sensation, the one that I had? What's his name?
Rashid Shaheed.
Shahid.
Rashid? He's
Yeah.
a second year, and
second.
he's out as well.
Yeah, so he's
So
gone too. So
he's gone. They are depleted. They have no options anywhere,
yeah,
and it showed. It definitely showed.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think you had a better week overall.
I think I only
we got a couple games wrong. I think two. I think two wrong. You got.
I got two wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I got four wrong. One of the ones we both got wrong was due to injury, but hey, that's football. That happens.
Yeah.
All right. There was a couple games this week already. Only two I want to talk about.
Yep.
First games was the Ravens versus the Texans, 31-2. Man, Ravens dominated. Derrick Henry was awesome, 27 for 147 and a touchdown.
Yep.
Mark Andrews 2 for 68 and a touchdown. Lamar was good. He didn't have to do too much
15
passing.
passes.
10 of 15 for 168, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And then he did have the 4 runs for 87 yards and a touchdown. And with those 87 yards, he did become the number one all-time rusher from a quarterback, just past Michael Vick.
Yep.
And Lamar's in what, year 7? Did that in 7 years, 8 years, whatever he is.
Yeah, he got
pretty
drafted
impressive.
2018.
So 6 years,
6
six, 7 years. Yep. So that's impressive. And a lot of times we talk about passing records now and how much easier it is to throw the football and how much more space there is and how it's like a pass happy league. So the fact that Lamar's been able to pass a rushing record from back when running was a lot more common is extremely impressive. But we know about Lamar. I mean, he's elite. He's a top two, top three quarterback in the league. He should be the MVP. If you look at the numbers, he should be the MVP because this is his best season he's had, and he's won two MVPs before. So how can you have a better season than when you've won MVPs and not win MVP? He
Right.
should be the MVP. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I gotta give credit when credit is due. Baltimore looked fantastic in that game. Shout out to
Both sides of the
Lamar.
ball.
Yeah, both sides of the ball. Lamar. So what's impressive to me is that I've noticed over the years. I think at the beginning of his career, he was like a run first quarterback,
Yep.
and they're saying he can't throw, he can't do this, can't do that. He's thrown flashes of being able to throw the ball effectively, but I think over time he's gotten a little bit more selective when he runs. Like if you look at that game, he rushed 4 times for 87 yards.
Times.
That's almost 22 yards per carry. So I think
Yep.
it's not just the volume of just, hey, if you run it 20 times, yeah, you're going to get 87 yards. He got 87 yards on 4 attempts. So I think the threat of him throwing and then at the last moment that you wouldn't expect it, he's going to tuck it and run. And I think that's what's throwing these defenses off. So shout out to them for that. However, Houston, you got some explaining to do.
It was bad.
CJ Stroud,
It was bad.
you got
It
some
was
explaining
bad.
to do. 17 of 31, 185, and one pick. That's like
It's bad.
rookie Mac Jones numbers.
Yep. That's
That
bad.
that
He
can't
was
happen.
sacked 5 times. He had a
That
13 QBR.
that's god awful. Now I will give him some slack because his number 2 and number 3 receivers are out right now. He's really just throwing to Nico, Robert Woods.
John
I didn't
Mechie.
I didn't even know Robert Woods was still in the league.
He's mainly a punt returner and kick returner for him. He started the year being like the fifth receiver and just a kick returner.
Right now he's
Now he's the third
third
receiver.
third on in yards.
I mean, but the crazy part to me is John Mechie had 8 targets. Nico only had 6. If you don't have your guys, how are you going to only throw to Nico 6 times?
I think same thing. I think Baltimore defense, they know that. They're not doing it. If you're going to let someone with the last name of Mechie beat me, I'll take that loss if Mechie is going to beat me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I've been saying it to you for a few weeks now. D'Amico Ryan, get it together, man. Get it together.
Well,
You can't
D'Amico
you can't
Ryans,
put your quarterback and your team in a position to not put up any points.
I agree. D'Amico Ryans is more of a defensive guy. He was the DC at San Fran before he got before he got the job. So does he deserve some of the blame? Yes, for sure. But I think more so it's going to be on the OC over there. And it wouldn't surprise me if he gets replaced this
OC.
year, the OC, because he didn't really adjust. He didn't put CJ in a position to have that solid second year. And he's, kind of helped contribute to the sophomore slump that CJ had. Offensive line hasn't been great. We understand that. Lost the second and third option at receiver. But even when they had those 3 guys healthy, he still wasn't having the type of season that we were going to expect from him
Yeah.
after the rookie season he had. So,
Yeah, so for me, D'Amico Ryans, I get you're a defensive guy, and are you calling the offensive plays? No, I don't know if he calls defensive plays or if he has a defensive coordinator for that.
I think he calls the defensive plays, I believe.
Okay, but so you as the head coach, you're the leader. You're the person that everyone goes to. You're holding everyone accountable. So if your offensive coordinator isn't cutting it, you need to address that for one. For two, if you're a defensive guy in practice, you should be throwing the kitchen sink at your offensive coordinator, and when they can't produce, be like, hey, and show them the reasons why. Be like, hey, I could tell what you were doing here, and I countered it with this. So when I counter it with this, you need to come back at me with that. And there should be a lot of like back and forth of like competing against each other, and I think that's how you get better. And I just haven't seen it get better over the season.
Yeah. I agree with you. And it's going to be kind of rough because Houston's in the playoffs. So they're getting a home playoff game. So what happens if a Pittsburgh comes in there and beats them at home and it's a bad loss, or
I'm taking
a
Pittsburgh if they
Denver,
play.
or a Denver or a Chargers come in there? I'm taking all those teams to beat Houston in Houston, which should not happen. which should not happen. So I imagine there will be some changes in the coaching staffs over there in Houston. But you're right. You've been on it in terms of the coaching over there. It's not what it needs to be. CJ hasn't been playing as well as he should, and we'll have to see what happens going forward with them because him as a rookie compared to him now and them last year versus this year is very different. So
Because they won a playoff game last year, right?
no, yes, they did.
They
They
did.
did win a playoff game last year. Yeah, they won in the wild card. They lost in the divisional to Baltimore. So, yeah. So that puts the Ravens at a great spot. I believe they are now
They're number
winning
one.
their division. Number one in their division. So, shout out to them. That's big time.
Yep.
The other game, Chiefs and Steelers. Chiefs 29-10 beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Mahomes had probably his best game of the year, 29 of
Yeah.
38,
Phenomenal.
320 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
Travis Kelce was back to the Travis Kelce that we've seen. 8 for 84 and a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, he has been playing some great football lately. 8 for 79 and a touchdown. Justin Watson, 2 for 60 and a touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 4 for 46.
I think that's
Overall,
big. Having Hollywood
Huge.
Brown back just as another
Huge.
weapon and just another person that teams need to keep their eye on. I think honestly, I think that's really what opened up Travis Kelce to be able to have the
think so,
day
too.
that he had.
I think so too. And they're using Xavier Worthy in a very different way now. At the beginning of the season, they were pretty much trying to get him the ball down the field, deep shots, home run shots. He doesn't really have the strength to battle through contact for the deep shots. So now they're using him as like a quick game guy, jet sweeps, stuff around the line of scrimmage, shallow crosses, get him the ball quick and let him run. And he's been great at it. That role has been very good for Xavier Worthy. I've been impressed with how he's been able to progress through the season.
Yeah, I think their whole entire offense is just starting to seem like they're household names. Like if you're going down the line, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, you've got Hollywood Brown, Samaje Perine, Juju Smith-Schuster, D-Hop.
D-Hop.
Noah Gray. Noah Gray has been having a great second half of the season. He's been averaging like 5 catches for 50 yards when Travis
been scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's been scoring touchdowns. So like all those, that's all your receiving core. And Justin Watson, he had those 2 catches for 60 yards, like you said, and the
deep
touchdown.
shot.
So, I mean, they're getting a great position, man. I'm not betting against them. I'm not betting.
So, with this win, they sewed up the number 1 seed,
15-1. Yep.
15-1. That means if they rest their starters next week, which I almost guarantee they will, they're gonna have 25 days off until they play football again. 25 days off because they played on a Wednesday. So then they're off this weekend. They're off next weekend. They're off the weekend after that for the bye, and they don't play to the following week. So 25 days off for a team that's gone to that's won 2 straight Super Bowls, been to the AFC Championship at least every single year for the past 6 years. This is exactly what they need.
Right.
I'm not worried about rust. I'm not worried about any of that stuff with a team that has this type of championship DNA. This is the perfect scenario for them, which gives them the best chance to three-peat, and I'm not betting against them. I got Chiefs winning again.
Same.
Steelers, man, they've fallen off.
Yeah.
Man, they are on a rough patch right now. Russ 23 of 37, 205, no touchdowns, 1 pick. They ran the ball pretty well. Najee Harris 13 for 74, Jalen Warren 11 for 71. 200 yards on the ground is solid.
Even Russ,
But man,
6 for 55 and a touchdown on the ground.
655 and a touchdown. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they only scored 10 points. Their defense hasn't been quite as dominant as we've been used to with the Steelers.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see kind of what happens there. But Pittsburgh's having a hard time, and Kansas City is peaking at the perfect time. Get some rest, and then we'll see who they match up with in the first round in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. I think I'm blaming Russ. I mean, 23 of 37, that's not efficient. Only 200 yards on passing. He wasn't able to get George Pickens going. I think he's not completely healthy from that hamstring that he missed the last 2 or 3 games with.
2-3 games. Yep.
Mike Williams, goose egg. I mean, we know he's capable of more than that. He's capable of getting you 6 catches for 60 yards. Like he can do that.
The old Mike Williams, yes. Coming off of his ACL, starting the season with the Jets, getting traded to the Steelers, it's hard to just insert someone into the lineup like that and expect him to be a high producer. A couple catches here and there is kind of what you could expect, but I don't think until he has a year removed from the ACL, a training camp with the team, so he can really be involved in the offense, know the playbook. That's kind of where I'm at with Mike Williams. So,
Well, what about
but
Van Jefferson? He was good with the Rams.
the Rams, he
No
was.
catches on one target.
Ugh, it's rough.
I think it's Russ. I don't want to say it, but I think if you're Mike Tomlin, you might want to consider you have a backup
So,
quarterback that has a better winning percentage this season.
so I heard that Pittsburgh is contemplating offering Russ a 3-year 146 deal after this year. Or 3-year 130 or 3-year something like. I think it might be 3-year 130. I think it comes out to about 46 a year. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not giving him that. No
So
way.
would you what? Would you go to Justin?
Yep.
That's a tough one. I don't think either one of them are great options. I don't think either one of them are great options, personally.
Because Fields is still on his rookie deal, right?
I
I think it
believe
is.
so.
I think this is his last year
Yeah.
on his rookie deal.
The thing is, I don't think there's a huge market for Justin Fields. I don't think he's going to get tons of offers for where people are going to be trying to throw $100+ million at him.
Right.
So they could bring him back on a small deal, 1 year, 2 year, whatever.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know what you do. What you do in Pittsburgh.
I don't know
I
what
don't
you
know.
do either, but I know that Russ is not the answer. I can tell you that.
Fair point. But yeah, Chiefs. They are in great position. It's hard to bet against them. They seem to be on their way to do something, that no one's ever done before in the Super Bowl era. So.
Right.
There was another game that I don't even really want to talk about. Seattle and Chicago, 6-3. Oof, that was a rough game to
I
watch.
I did not watch it.
I'm a little jealous because it was a snooze fest. There was 12+ punts and just not much. Not much. No one scored in the second half. No touchdowns, just 3 field goals. So Seahawks got a chance to make the playoffs still. I think they need some help, but they got a chance.
Yep.
All right. Um, Today there's a few games. Chargers are blitzing the Patriots 37-7 in the fourth.
Yep.
I think that game's almost over at
5
this
minutes
point.
left.
It's about 5 minutes left. So with this win, the Chargers are going to clinch a playoff spot, which means there's only one more playoff spot available in the AFC,
Yep.
and Denver could secure that today. Not too surprised
Um,
about this game here with Chargers and Pats. It's.
okay, so you're are you picking Denver to beat Cincinnati?
I've been thinking about it. They're playing in Cincy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Denver. I'm gonna take Denver.
Cincinnati, bro. Cincinnati's winning that
I'm
game.
gonna I'm gonna take Denver in a shootout. High scoring game. I think it's gonna be over 30.
Yep.
Both teams gonna score over 30,
Yep.
which is good for me because I'm starting Bo Nix today
Nice.
in the
Good
finals.
choice. Good choice.
It's either him or Kyler Murray, and Kyler's been eliminated from playoffs, so I'm not doing it. So yeah, Bo Nix there. I'm gonna say now. Would I like to see? I mean, even then, even if the Bengals win today, the Broncos play Kansas City next week, and Kansas City's sitting all their guys. So the Broncos have a pretty good chance to win that game next week, and then the Bengals eliminated, Indy's eliminated, Miami's eliminated. I don't see the Chiefs beating the Broncos with Carson Wentz, no Travis Kelsey, none of those guys. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna take the Broncos today. That should be a good game. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. If
But
I'm
I'm
the
taking the
Chiefs, I
Broncos.
want that. I don't want Cincy in the playoffs.
Right.
They're a little bit more
Yep.
dangerous.
Yep. I agree.
and they beat them in the AFC Championship game
A few years
a
ago.
few years
Yep.
ago. Yep, to get to the Super Bowl to
Because
play the
Chiefs have
Rams.
only lost twice in the AFC Championship game. Once
Patriots
to the Pats, and then
and then
to the
Bengals.
Bengals. So,
Okay.
but
All
yeah, I'm gonna
right.
take the
Well,
Broncos on that one.
okay. I'm gonna take Cincy.
Okay. Next game tonight, Rams and Cardinals. I'm gonna take the Rams. This is in LA.
Yeah.
Cardinals just got eliminated from the playoffs. Give me the
Well,
Rams.
Rams can still make it.
Rams are winning their division, so if they win tonight, I think
They lock it
they
up.
lock the division up. Yep. Even though
Okay.
they got Seattle next week, I think with strength of victory and division record and conference record, I think Rams win tonight. I think they clinch it.
Okay.
All right. So with that, let's look at the playoff bracket and see where we're at right now. AFC, Kansas City's the 1 seed. We get that. They lock that up. Bills are the 2. Baltimore's the 3. Houston's the 4. Pittsburgh's the 5. Right now, Chargers are the 6. I think it'll stay that way. They may flip flop with Denver depending on how these last 2 games go, and then Denver's the 7.
Well,
Indy's got a shot to
Chargers
make
just
it.
won. Who do Chargers play next week? Raiders. I got Chargers getting in.
Okay, so that should lock in the Chargers as a 6 seed, Denver as a 7. So
Yeah.
that sets up a first round matchup. If that holds, Denver versus Bills, Chargers at Ravens, Pittsburgh at Texans. I like it.
Yeah. Great matchups.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. There's obviously a chance for Cincinnati to make the playoffs, Miami to make the playoffs, and Indy to make the playoffs. Denver will have to lose out for that to happen. Again, I don't think Denver's going to lose week 17 or week 18 versus the Chiefs,
Yeah.
but they got a chance.
And then Cincinnati got Pittsburgh. At Pittsburgh. That would be a tough one.
That'll be a tough
Yeah.
game because they're
Odds,
both
odds are
fighting for,
stacked against the Bengals for sure.
and the Bengals need the Colts and the Dolphins to lose one of their final 2. So if that doesn't happen, Cincy got no chance no matter what happens.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's stacked up against Cincinnati, but hey, it is what it is.
Okay. NFC.
NFC. Here, NFC is interesting, bro. NFC is interesting. Detroit right now is the 1. Philly's the 2. Rams are the 3. Falcons are the 4. Minnesota's the 5 at 13-2. Green Bay's the 6 at 11-4. Washington is the 7 at 10-5.
This pisses me off because the Vikings are 13-2 as a 5 seed, and the Falcons are 8-7 as a 4 seed.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Nope. I agree.
And all the other teams too. The Packers 11-4, Commanders 10-5, all lower seeds than the 8-7 Falcons.
I mean, the 5, 6, and 7 seeds have better records than the 3 and the 4 seed. Because the Rams at 3 are 9-6. That's worse record than Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington.
Yep.
It's messed
They
up.
might not be in the playoffs if they weren't winning their division.
Right. With the AFC, a lot of the seedings are a lot more locked in.
Yeah.
With the NFC, not so much.
Only Detroit and Philly have clinched their division. Oh, and Minnesota.
Detroit hasn't clinched. Detroit hasn't clinched because they got the same record as Minnesota.
They have the tiebreaker though.
Right. But in week 18, they play each other.
They play each other.
So this week, Green Bay and Minnesota play.
That'll be a good game.
That'll be a good game. And then the following week, if Minnesota wins, which I'm taking Minnesota to beat Green Bay, it's all going to set up for that number 1 overall seed, win the division, difference between having a first round bye, having home playoff games, or going on the road and playing in round 1. Whew.
I mean,
Also,
what?
The Rams and the Seahawks could flip spots. Tampa Bay and Atlanta could flip spots as well. So there's still a lot of moving parts here in the NFC playoff race. We'll know more
Yeah,
tomorrow and
after
Monday.
this week, well, like we both
Yep.
said, we got the Rams winning this week. That would move them to 10-6 when Seattle just lost
Yep.
and they're 9-7. So the Rams definitely have a leg up.
Yep.
I'm picking Detroit in that game against Minnesota for the number one seed.
Nope. Nope. You've been sleeping on Minnesota all year. It's gonna come back to bite you in a big
I'm
way.
not
I'm
sleeping
telling you.
on them. I'm not sleep. I have been sleeping on them all year, but I'm not sleeping on them right now. I just think that Detroit's
Okay.
a better team.
I think if Detroit didn't have the injuries that they are dealing with, yes. But I think they're too depleted on the defensive side of the ball that Minnesota's going to be able to outscore them. That's what I think.
I think they'll be able to put up a lot of points, but I think that the Lions will put up more points.
We will find out in another week or so. But before we get to that, let's do our game picks for this week.
Okay.
All right, so we already talked about the Broncos,
We
Bengals. We
we
already talked
talked
about the
about this
Cardinals,
week. We talked
Rams.
about today. So tomorrow,
Yep. Jets, Bills.
Bills.
Give me the Bills all day. All right, Vegas and the Saints. Two bottom feeder teams. Who you got?
The Vegas is the better team, but
Yes.
again, do you want to win games right now if you're Vegas?
They don't want to, no, but I think they will. Because, like you said earlier, I don't think the head coach and the owner are on the same page. The head coach was saying, I am here to win football games. I don't care about picks. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm here
Yeah,
to win football games. Give me the Raiders.
yeah, I agree. Raiders,
Give me the Raiders. All right, Colts, Giants. Give me the Colts.
Colts.
Anthony Richardson did not practice all week. Right now, Flacco is projected to start.
Don't matter.
Right.
Don't matter.
But that's interesting. We'll see how they look. Because if they look great, it's just going to be another one of those
Yeah.
weird situations where who do you go? Who do you go back to?
But
But
the hot hand.
yeah, possibly.
I, I,
But this
I I agree. I just don't think that Flacco will. He hasn't looked good all season. I just don't. I don't see him.
he's had a couple of really good games.
I don't feel like his games have been good enough to keep him as a starter.
Let's see. In a loss to Jacksonville, he was 33 of 44, 359, and three touchdowns, no picks.
And a loss to Jacksonville.
You're right. You're right. All right, so we both got the Colts there. Cowboys, Eagles. No Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
He's out.
it'll be Pickett.
No CD Lamb. He's out for the season. They shut him down to get his
Yeah,
shoulder taken care of.
it's gonna be Philly.
It's gonna be Philly. I think I'm taking Philly too. I wanted to take the Cowboys. I think if CD was playing, I probably would lean more towards the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But without CD, I'm gonna take the Eagles, even with Kenny Pickett in a low-scoring
Yep.
game.
Fingers crossed.
17-14, fingers crossed, Philly. All right, Panthers Bucks in Tampa.
Didn't the Panthers beat them last time?
They I don't remember.
No, they lost by 3.
It was close. It was overtime. They went to overtime. Bucks won in overtime. I'm taking the Bucks.
Yep.
Chuba Hubbard just went on IR. He's done for the season.
Yep.
So I think that's going to limit the. I mean, he's been the Panthers' best player offensively. And he's been a big part of their playing better, their ascension over the past little bit of the season. But with him being out, I don't think they can take out the Bucks. So give me the Bucks there.
Yeah.
Jags Titans,
Agreed.
another one. Bottom feeders. Who you like?
Jags Titans.
In Jacksonville.
Give me Jacksonville.
I'm gonna take the Titans. I think their defense
Again?
is going to. Yeah. Well, I picked the Jags last week.
You picked the Titans last week too?
I did. Now I gotta pick one. I gotta pick one of them. I think Jags are bad offensively and defensively. I think the Titans are bad offensively. They're okay defensively. So I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the Titans in a defensive, nasty kind of slug out game.
Okay.
Give me the Titans. Dolphins Browns. Not much implications here. I'm gonna take the
Dolphins.
Dolphins. And then game of the week, Packers Vikings
Give me Green
in
Bay.
Minnesota.
Give me Green Bay.
You're crazy.
Give me Green Bay.
You're crazy.
Give me Green Bay.
I wonder if there's been any news on Christian Watson and if he's playing. I mean, he's questionable. It's going to be a game time, but I think he's looking. I think he's leading towards playing. So they could possibly have Christian Watson. Give me the Vikings. Give me the Vikings, bro. Give me the Vikings. I've been big on the Vikings all year.
Yeah.
It's paid off since they're obviously they're 13-2. Give me the Vikings. I like the Vikings in this one, which sets up that big game next week at week 18 with Detroit. Give me the Vikings there.
Won't be a big game because Detroit will be resting their starters.
Nah, not gonna happen. All right, Sunday night, Falcons Commanders. This is a good game too. Two playoff teams.
Washington.
So it's in Washington. We're expecting some rain. I like the Falcons, bro. I like the Falcons tomorrow. I think Falcons have a better run game than the Commanders.
Bijan
And I think this is going to be a Bijan
Bryant.
game. I think it's going to be a Bijan game. I think he has a monster game. And I think the Falcons pull it off in prime time. We get to see Michael Penix. So it'll be good to watch, but give me the Falcons.
No, give me Jaden Daniels. He's going to find a way to pull it out.
All right, we'll see. All right, Monday night, Lions 49ers. You said earlier this was shaping up to be a pretty good game. And in a lot of situations, this would be a good game. I don't think it's going to be quite as good. I'm taking the Lions in San Francisco. Who you got?
Give me Detroit by 2 possessions.
I like it. All right, I like it. Our picks are in. All right, what we got next?
All right, best wide receiver in the NFL right now. We had this conversation probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But now that the season's coming to a close, who you got? Who's wide receiver 1?
I mean, the numbers scream Jamar Chase. The numbers scream Jamar Chase. He's gonna win the Triple Crown.
Yep.
He's been awesome this year. I'm still not taking Jamar over Jets though. I'm still taking Justin Jefferson over Jamar.
Yep. I'm with you, 100%.
I can't.
Yeah, I think the numbers look great. The numbers look like they're in Jamar's favor. But when you talk about the quarterback that's throwing to each of them, Sam Darnold's throwing to Jamar, and you got Joe Burrow throwing to Chase. If you switch them, I think Jefferson's
Could you
numbers
imagine?
look exactly the same as Jamar Chase's, if not better.
If not, yeah.
For 2, I think a lot of Chase, I think it might be a little bit like faster, like running in
A
a
little
straight
bit more
line.
explosive. Yep.
So like yards after catch, I would probably give the edge to Chase. But when we're talking about route running, I'm giving it to Jefferson. And when we're talking about going up top and making that catch on the top shelf, Jefferson is the best in the league at that.
Yep.
I think back to that one play when who was it Kirk Cousins that threw it to him
Against the Bills.
That is probably
Unbelievable.
top 3 catches of all time, if not number 1. It's close to number 1 in my book. But having someone that has the ability to go up and make plays like that, it's the ultimate weapon. I mean, you can just throw it up there. That was what 3rd and 8 or 4th. That was 4th and 18 or something like that.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter,
yeah.
and he just threw it up there. Knew that he was double covered and still just threw it to him, and he just goes up and just gets it. That's too good.
Yep. I agree. Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof. Jamar Chase is not. We've seen when Joe Burrow's gone out, Jamar Chase has not been the level receiver that he is.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase has had all types. I keep messing him up. Justin Jefferson has all types of different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. It does not matter who's in there. He's going to be an elite number 1 always. Always going to give you over 1,000 yards, and he's unstoppable. There's nothing you can do to stop Jets. There's nothing.
Yeah. Now, granted, I don't think Jefferson has ever had as bad of a quarterback as forget the guy's name that came in to
Browning.
replace Browning. Yes, no one's ever been as bad as him for that was thrown to Jefferson. However, Jefferson is making Darnold look like a Pro Bowler.
Right.
So
Let me see.
I just think that the level of quarterback play, I think that Jefferson is elevating the level of quarterback play. Like he's making Darnold look a lot better than he is. That's why I'm not so high on Minnesota because I think once playoff come around, I think that aspect is going to get exposed.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to see all the quarterbacks that have thrown to Justin Jefferson because I know Kirk hasn't been healthy the whole time. Let's see. Has it just been two?
To
No,
what?
several quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins. Who else? Because I know Kirk has. I mean, I know Justin Jefferson has had a couple quarterbacks when Kirk has been out that haven't been the best, and he's still been able to put up numbers like the year. I mean, he had Josh Dobbs last year when Kirk tore his Achilles. He had Dobbs, and Dobbs didn't play every game either. There was someone else that came in last year. I can't remember who it was, but Jefferson was still putting up numbers no matter who was throwing to him. So I just think the fact that Jefferson is quarterback proof. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's still going to be just as dynamic.
Yeah.
And Chase is a big beneficiary of having his college buddy and someone who is going to just throw and throw and throw,
Feed him.
which gives Chase the answer,
Yeah.
the advantage. But Chase, I mean, he's sensational. He's having a fantastic year.
He's number
And
two.
the Bengals, he's number two. And the Bengals made a terrible decision not paying him last year because the price has gone up substantially this year.
Right,
Substantially.
because his numbers didn't reflect best receiver in the league last year, and now that
Nope,
they
they do
do,
now.
oh my god,
How are you not going to reset the quarterback market when with a guy who just won the Triple Crown? Come
yep,
on.
yep.
So yeah, they definitely made a mistake there. All right, I got a couple questions for you in terms of what I'm thinking for my matchup this week.
Okay,
So I got Bo Nix playing starting against Cincinnati today. I got Bijan, he's a lock. I got James Cook, he's a lock.
okay.
I have a couple questions. I got two players that I'm not 100% sold on right now. First one's Juwan Jennings. They play Monday night at home versus Detroit.
Detroit, which we're talking about, might be a higher scoring game because of Detroit's defense.
It could be. Juwan Jennings over the past 2 weeks has been a lot less involved. He's been a lot more average than he was earlier in the year. And San Francisco's already been eliminated from the playoffs.
Who do you have in place of him? Because I'm looking at his numbers over the last 5 games. He's had one good game.
Right, exactly. So he's definitely taking a step back. So I could play. I want to play Tajay Spears if Pollard doesn't play. If Pollard plays, I don't know if I can risk playing Tajay Spears. He's
Yeah.
been pretty good the last 2 weeks, but I can't play someone in the split or who's a second string. I could go Tyron Tracy.
I like him.
He's good to go versus Indy.
I would play him.
I could
I'm playing him
I
over
could
Jennings
over Jennings.
because in the last 5 games he's had 3 good games, or in the last
Yeah.
4 games he's had 3 good games.
Yep. Or I could play Jalen McMillan. I picked him up as an option because the last three he's been really good. The last three in a row he's been really good,
Yeah, let me look at
and
him.
they're playing Carolina.
Yeah,
It's just
I might
risky.
play him
It's just
because
risky
they
because he's a rookie.
because they're still in the playoff mix,
They are.
so they have something to play for,
Right.
and they could run it up against Carolina.
They could. I just don't know if Carolina's going to be able to score enough points without Chuba to keep it to the point where Tampa keeps throwing the ball. I don't want them to just start running it with Bucky and White.
Yeah, I think the
But
say it all
he's a good
depends.
option.
It all depends how aggressive you want to be. And looking at the score right now, you're down almost 20 points.
Yeah. 16.
So I think the safe play is Tyrone Tracy. But if you want to go get aggressive, I'd play McMillan.
I think it's going to depend on how the games go today. Does Bo Nix give me 20, 25 plus? And how does Trey McBride do tonight? Because if they kind of flop or if they have a really solid, if they flip the projections,
Right.
then I'll have a little bit more options. But if not, then I might have to go Jalen McMillan if I'm aggressive. But also, I'm not sold on Devontae. It's
Not
supposed to
sold
be
on Devon.
pretty bad weather in Buffalo.
And he's questionable.
I think he'll be fine. It doesn't even say what he's questionable with. This is the second time this season that's happened to him. So I think he's going to play,
Probably just maintenance.
but could be just maintenance. But it's supposed to be a rainy day in Buffalo. So that's why I think James Cook is going to be great. But I'm worried about playing him if it's going to be raining that bad.
I have the answer, but you're not going to like it.
Let's hear it.
You got to play the hero from last week, Jaden Reed.
And I was thinking about it because when he played Minnesota first time, he put up 33 or 27. I think he put up 27. And especially with Christian Watson questionable / nicked, he might be that. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about playing Jaden Reed and Tyrone Tracy over Devontae and Juwan. Unless Tony Pollard's out, then I'm sliding Tyjae Spears in over Tyrone Tracy.
For sure. Yep.
That's kind of where my head's at.
Let me look at Devontae's numbers as of
But
late.
I also want to play Jalen. Devontae's been great as of late. I also want to play McMillan too, though.
Devontae's been good. I don't know how you bench Devontae.
If it's going to be a rainy and terrible weather in Buffalo, I don't feel good about that. I really don't. But the only thing is though, Aaron Rodgers has 499 career touchdown passes. I think number 200, 400, and have gone to Devontae. I think Aaron's going to want to have 500 go to Devontae as well. So that's my only where I'm like, I kind of want to play him, but I'm worried about the weather there.
Right. I don't know how rainy it's going to be. The game's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, at 1:00.
Yeah, I think you got to monitor the weather. Devontae's been too good to not play him.
I know.
The last
I
5
know.
weeks in a row, he's had good games, and he's scored at least one touchdown in the last 4 games.
I know.
Each of the last 4 games.
And this might be a game where they fall behind, so they're going to have to throw.
I mean, either way, Buffalo's defense isn't very good. So
They're just so
they'll
injured.
be able to.
They're nicked. Yeah.
I
don't know, man.
I'm
It's
not
tough.
taking Devontae out. But I
tough.
might play Jaden Reed over.
Would you play him
Jawan
over
Jennings.
Tracy? Would you play Jaden Reed over Tracy?
No.
Okay. So if I move Jennings down to my flex and slide him out and then put Tracy in there, I could do that.
Yep. Unless
then-
unless Tajay plays, and then you're playing Tajay.
Then I'm
in
playing
your-
Tajay.
in your flex.
Because they're playing Jacksonville. So if he's a starter, he's gonna
He's
gonna
in
cook.
the last 2 weeks in a row. He's had at least a touchdown. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns last week. Ooh, actually, I don't know about it. So the rushing ability is scary, but the passing
It is.
ability, he's been going crazy.
Right. But if there's no Pollard, he's going to get that many more looks. So, because Pollard played the last 2 weeks, so the rushing has not really been there. He's gotten the 2 goal line touchdowns. But if there's no Pollard, who's questionable, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm playing him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And it really all depends. Like, it really does depend on how the games go today. I
But
need a big day from Knicks.
I think that Jennings shouldn't be in your lineup.
I kind of agree with that.
It's going to be. It should be either Tracy or Spears.
Tracy or Spears or even Reed would be a better option. Or even McMillan too. That's the thing. There's
Yeah,
so many. There's so many different options.
all of them would be better options, but you've
Better
narrowed
options
down
than
your
than
number one.
Jennings.
Spears would be the most ideal. If you're not going to go Spears, then you're going to go Tracy,
Yep.
and it shouldn't go any deeper than that, honestly.
And then it just depends on how bad the weather is tomorrow. And then I got to decide if I keep Devontae in there or I take him out for Reed or McMillan.
You're not considering Michael Pittman?
No. I think tomorrow's gonna be another Jonathan Taylor game, which scares me because I'm obviously playing him. Chris got him, so that scares me.
Yeah.
But Chris is playing Jamison Williams, who was boomer bust.
He went off last week.
Exactly, which means this week I'm hoping that he has a he has a down week. And then he's also playing Mooney, who is good, but
Michael Penix throwing to him.
Michael Penix thrown to him, and it's supposed to be rainy in DC. So I'm worried about Saquon. I'm worried about Aaron Jones. I'm worried about Jonathan Taylor on his team.
Yep. Lamar
Outside
Jackson
of that,
already did his damage. I can't believe Zay Flowers only had 31 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But Travis Kelce's good game hurts.
Yeah. But I'm hoping to match that with Trey McBride. I'm hoping that since Kyler last week was talking about, I'm going to get him his first touchdown, and he only got like 2 catches, that he just force feeds Trey tonight. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Just get him his touchdown, and he could hopefully match that. If he matches that, and I get 20 to 25 from Bo Nix, I think I'll be feeling pretty good.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. Definitely a lot to consider
a lot going on today.
Definitely.
Bo Nix and Trey McBride.
Definitely. So we'll see how those go. But all right, brother. Last topic of the day. Christmas Day NBA games.
NBA, NFL. The topic was just to see your thoughts on where we're going with Christmas Day games. Is it an NFL day? Is it an NBA day? Can they share it? Has NBA fallen off? Obviously, the ratings have been down. Where do you think we are with Christmas Day games? Are you even excited to watch NBA games anymore? Like, where are you at?
The 5 NBA games ended up being pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They were all competitive. I saw all the highlights. I didn't watch every single game. I was in a little bit more of a unique situation this year on Christmas where I wasn't home. If I was home, I do believe I would have watched the NBA games, at least most of them. The NFL ratings dominated in terms of the NBA ratings.
Yeah.
Obviously, the NBA has historically been a Christmas thing. It's only the last couple years that they've been doing Christmas games.
The NFL, right?
The NFL, yeah. It's always been NBA. NFL is kind of new to it. But the ratings, even though the 2 games were not interesting, NFL-wise, pretty bad games, they're blowouts, they still were so much more heavily viewed than the NBA games.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to continue to do both, have both on, which definitely hurts the NBA. And overall, the NFL is a lot more interesting than the NBA. And that's not just my opinion. That's the opinion of the people who watch. So I do think they'll end up doing both, which I think is worse for the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I think that the NBA games were good. I was able to watch I watched the end of the Timberwolves game. I watched the whole Celtics Sixers game. I watched the whole Lakers Warriors game. But I did not watch any of the Nuggets or Suns game. But that game was close down to the end.
10-point game. Yep.
The Celtics game was great. To me, that was the best game of the day.
Better than the Lakers Warriors?
Ooh. As a Celtics fan, yes.
Okay.
As an NBA fan, I would understand why you would pick the Lakers. But to me, it was really exciting to watch Philly fully healthy.
Yeah.
To get a little glimpse of what they could be. Because going into the season, there were a lot of high hopes for Philly.
Yep.
Wasn't very fun to see my Celtics lose at home on Christmas Day.
Yep.
but we're still second in the East, 22-8. I'm not too worried about them. Plus, Porzingis went out with the injury, so. As far as the viewership, I think the NBA games were better than the NFL games, but I think that the NFL games being displayed on Netflix helped a lot because everyone has Netflix. Not everyone
And
has cable.
right. And Beyonce was performing at the halftime show of the second game. So I guarantee there was a lot of people who pulled it up to watch Beyonce.
Yeah,
Because
so
that's when it peaked. That was when
right,
the viewership was at its highest, was halftime during the second game.
right. So that was going to be my next point. I wanted to see the Beyonce show, so
Yeah,
I'm with the people for that.
for sure.
The performance from Beyonce was better than that game because that game
For sure.
was a blowout.
For sure.
So yeah, I think the Netflix thing I think helped the NFL a lot. I think the NBA got to do something different to figure out how to get fans to watch NBA on Christmas Day. It used to be like you said, the NBA was
That was
always
it.
it was just NBA. It was never NFL. But now, granted, NFL is America's most commonly watched sport.
Yep.
So if you put that there to compete with NBA, like you're gonna lose. So and then plus they're doing
And to
something
be
different.
honest,
What's up?
sorry to cut you off. To be honest, you can put the Jags and the Raiders on Christmas Day, and that's going to outview the NBA games.
Yeah, for sure.
Just is what it
So
is.
I think you got to figure out something to do. I know it's a little tricky because there's so many NBA games. You can't display every game on every network. You know, some of them are on NBA TV, some of them are ABC, some are ESPN, and some of them are you're not able to watch them at all. But the
Right.
NFL, you can watch every single NFL
Every
game. Now,
single
granted,
game.
will need a couple different streaming platforms, and you need the NFL Network. Have to have Peacock. You have to have YouTube TV to watch. Some of these other games that are on NFL Network or on ABC or whatever they're on.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but I wonder if like a NBA Red Zone would benefit the NBA, where like they can show all the games that are happening. Now, granted, you would have to have all the NBA games on at the same time, so that you can show all the different games, but like show like possession by possession. Because what makes me not want to watch the NBA is the amount of timeouts. There's so many timeouts. There's the coaches' timeouts. There's the TV timeouts. There's the officials' timeouts. And it just kind of it's hard to keep my focus for that long. I think the NFL does a lot better job of having a continuous running game, at least for each drive. So like every drive, you'll see like a drive, maybe two, before we go to a timeout. And then the timeouts really aren't used until like the end of the half or end of the game. But for the NBA,
Right.
every like 3 minutes there's a timeout to either stop the run or
Yeah.
to do a commercial break. Or there's
Each
always
team has
something.
like 6 timeouts per half. That's
Right.
insane.
And that's not even counting the TV timeouts or that other
Right.
official timeouts. So I just
Right.
think the amount of times they stop, I think really kills the viewership. And on top of that, I think that it's really not fair. So anytime a team goes on a 5-0, 7-0 run, you're going to call a timeout. I think
Yeah.
you should have to suffer through it. I think you should have to
Right. Figure out
figure
a
it
way.
out, get a stop, and flip it back. And
Yeah.
if you can't, then you can't. But I don't think just
Right.
calling a timeout to change the flow or the pace of the game is the solution.
Right. And then the amount of fouls that are called too, because free throws make it so slow as well.
Yep.
So if there are
Yeah.
teams and guys who are getting drawn fouls at high rates, Trey Young's, James Harden, Embiid, guys like that, that slows the game down like crazy too.
Yeah, so I seen there was this Euro League that plays if you get fouled on a 2-point attempt, you take one free throw that's worth 2 points.
So what happens if you miss it? Do you get a second one?
No, you get no
Because
points.
that could be an idea too, where it's like if you make the first one, it's two. If you miss the first one, you get a second one, then it's only one. That way, it's still kind of like you're getting two shots if needed. And if you miss the front end, you get a second one. That will speed it up quite a bit too. So I don't hate that. I don't hate that idea.
Yeah, I would do it. I would do just if you get fouled on a 2-point attempt, you take one free throw for 2 points or nothing. If you miss, you miss because the percentages are going to be the same regardless. However many if you take 50 free throws or 100 free throws, your percentage is going to be the same.
Yeah.
So if I just think it's going to average out to be the same anyways. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do for a 3-point shot. If you take one free throw worth 3, or what if you get
Right.
if you get an and one, is it still one free throw worth 1?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fouling I think needs to stop. I think they need to let people play through a lot more contact. It's too soft for me, and I think it's too easy to get to the line. I don't like that.
Yeah.
When I play in men's leagues or whatever, I'm getting scratched and clawed and beat up, and then someone else in the NBA gets breathed on, and they get a foul call. If they scream out, they get a call. So
I agree, but I think the biggest thing is they play too many games.
yeah,
82 games is too many games. And teams know that they can start off the first quarter, the first half of the season, and not really give maximum effort and still have a chance to make the playoffs. And when you see the difference between regular season and even playing, the effort level, the commitment, and how hard people are trying is so night and day different that it's like, if they don't care about the regular season, why should I care about the regular season? I'm all in when it comes to playoffs, and I enjoy watching it, and it's high level basketball every single game. But during the regular season, there are times when I'll see a good matchup, Bucks and Celtics. I turn it on, Giannis ain't playing, JB's not playing. I'm like, I don't want to watch a game where the top teams are playing and the guys aren't playing.
yeah.
So I think that to me is the biggest reason for me as to why I haven't been quite as invested in the NBA as of late. I just think they play too many games, and during the regular season they don't care.
Yeah, and it's crazy that we say that. So like the solution would be for the NBA to decrease the number of games when the NFL has been increasing their number of games that they've been playing. So they're heading in two different directions. Plus, if you're the NBA and you start decreasing the number of games, obviously it makes a lot more things complicated. The partnerships with the TV brands, obviously those deals are going to go down because now they're not getting their money's worth for advertisement for 82 games. Now it's going to be only 50 games. And then if you do that, that means the player's salary is going to go down. So how motivated are they going to be for playing for less dollars when over the years it's only been going up since the beginning of the NBA? It's the amount of money that are getting paid has only been going up. So if you change that and make it start going back down, how is that going to affect it? Plus, if you're the NBA and you're a billion-dollar corporation, and now you're just going to throw in the white flag to the NFL and be like, we can't compete with you guys, so we're just going to decrease the number of the games and lose on profit and stuff just to increase viewership, it's not going to be worth it for them. So it's really a tough position for the NBA to be in. But if you're the NFL, you're in the catbird seat. Like they can do whatever they want.
And the NBA knows they got to do something. They're trying a different All-Star game format next year. They brought in the in-season tournament. They brought in the play-in tournament. So they're trying different things to see what they can do. It's not quite working out the way that they had expected. I think initially maybe it did, but in the long term, not so much. So they know they got to do something. I'm curious to see what they end up doing. I definitely wouldn't want to be the commissioner. Adam Silver's got his work cut out for him. So
yeah, I like the play-in tournament. I think that is a good idea. And it makes the teams that are, the 9 and 10 seed teams, still be trying at the end of the season. Does it matter that much? No, because I don't see any play-in team winning the NBA Finals. So, how much difference does it really make?
winning, no, but they can make a run. Lakers did it a couple years ago. They were playing team,
they
made it
got
to
to
the Western
the Western
Conference
Conference
Finals.
Finals. Yeah, for sure. That was good. I think that was probably as far as they'll go. I mean, they lost in 5. I think
They got
lost
swept.
that year.
They lost in 5 last year
Oh,
to
the next year. Yeah.
But I think didn't the Hawks a few years ago, weren't they a playing team and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I don't know if they were playing. I do remember when they
can't remember.
beat the beat up Bucks, and they made it
Yes.
to the Eastern Conference Finals. I do remember that.
And they lost to Celtics, right? Was it Celtics or was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember who either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do like the play-in tournament. As far as the in-season tournament, I don't like it at all. I don't think that the money incentive is enough. And for 2, and then it's kind of corny how the Bucks raised a banner. I was just like, yeah, this is corny.
That's
now.
bad. That's bad. That's
Because
bad.
of
Raising
this-
the banner is horrible.
Yeah, because if you're the Celtics or the Lakers who won it the year before, where you have all this history of conference championships and NBA championships, they got 17. Well, the Celtics got 18, but the Lakers got 17 banners. They're not raising a freaking NBA Cup banner. Like what?
I think they did, bro.
Yeah,
I think the Lakers did,
I
which
think that's
is
so
just
corny.
it's so out of place.
Yeah, that's so corny.
I
Especially because it
agree.
started so late. So like, oh, there's only been two NBA Cups so far.
Two.
So now the Bucks and Lakers say, oh, we have more NBA Cups than you. No one cares about how many NBA
Right,
Cups you got.
right, right.
So yeah,
I agree.
I think that the money needs to be more, and I think it also they need to push it out a little bit more. I think it's like too early in the season because now that it's over, now it's like now there's nothing from now until the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man.
I agree. But yeah, NBA, they got their work cut out for them. They're gonna keep trying to innovate things and figure out a way to get that viewership back up. But it's just different. I remember NBA games as a kid, the Kobe Lakers versus the Paul Pierce and them Celtics, the Heat and Cavs back when it was D Wade on the Heat and Braun on the Cavs. Like there were just so many great teams that I used to love watching, and the overall feel of the game was so different. It was just so different.
Yeah.
So
We got a little
I don't
glimpse
know.
of that with LeBron and Steph. That was
We
nice.
did, we did for sure. We definitely did.
So they got to figure out a way to get more of that back in it because LeBron and Steph are only going to be here for so much longer. So once they're gone, then what?
Then what? Yeah, and even like guys like KD, Russ, Harden, they're all to the point where like they only got a few years left. So some of the icons, all time greats.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think something has to happen because I am never really drawn to my screen to
To watch
watch
NBA.
NBA game. So
Feel that. But all right. That's all the
all
topics.
right,
for
let's
this
wrap
week.
it up. Yes, absolutely, and we will reconnect after these games and see where we're at. We'll review our picks, see where the playoff bracket is at after Monday's games,
Yep.
and we'll go from there.
All right. It's
All
episode
right,
3 of
okay.
Beyond the Playbook.
Beyond the playbook for now. We'll see if it continues.
Right.
All right.
All right.